What's happening, people? What's going on? Happy Sunday. I hope you're all doing well. Who am I, guys, streaming back-to-back days on a weekend? You guys got me on ropes. You got me on ropes. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. For the people that accused me of fake news yesterday, people accused me of clickbait. I think you owe me an apology. I will take apologies in the form of likes and subscribes and super chats, but I would like an apology because a lot of people accused me yesterday of clickbaiting. People accused me of, reporting fake news. And I just said I was reporting what I believe to be an accurate source in Portugal. And lo and behold, you're so lucky that I ended up going out for sushi yesterday evening because I couldn't end up streaming. But the truth came out. The truth came out. Big up to everyone. Yusuf, I hope you are doing well. Baby Verge, I hope you're doing well as well. Ivan says, to hell with Gyökeres. We don't want that fraud. If Arsenal now moves for Sesko, no way, I will still accept him. There's many gifted strikers there who would choose United. Big up to Nicole. I hope you're doing well. Philip, no need to apologize. It's a joke. But everyone, how are you guys doing on this wonderful Sunday? Have you guys watched the Club World Cup yesterday? Started last night. Some good games on today. I'm not going to lie. I will be watching probably all three of the games that are on this evening. PSG versus Atletico, probably the biggest one. But guys, I have an injury, and I'm in a lot of pain. So the fact that I'm streaming through pain right now, it says a lot. I think I have a meniscus sprain in my knee, and I should go to the hospital to go get it checked out. But I'll do that when, there's no content to be done. Other than that, I'm just going to continue to ice it, elevate it, rest it, compression. They say rice. That's what I learned in PE when I was a kid. Rice, rest, ice, compression, elevation. That's what we're going to do. But I'm in a lot of pain right now. So you guys I'm guilt tripping you guys to hit the like button. I'm guilt tripping you guys to hit the like button. We got so much content coming throughout the week. You guys know in less than about 3 weeks, the Women's Euros is starting. So we will have a watch-alongs for that for England and maybe for like Spain and France, etc. We'll have watch-alongs for that. We will have watch-alongs starting this week for the Club World Cup. So let me know, guys, what games you lot want to see watch-alongs for. Let me know. We'll be doing back-to-back watch-alongs on Wednesday. I think it's Manchester City versus Wydad. And then Al Hilal versus, I think it's Inter. Real Madrid. Al Hilal versus Real Madrid. So we'll be doing back-to-back watch-alongs on that day. Big up to Victor says, let me be a little bit ridiculous, Minna. Have you ever pictured a last resort United front three made up of Cunha, Rashford and Mbeumo? We should now do everything to get Mbeumo over as an emergency. I think United have burnt every bridge with Marcus Rashford, that even the prospect of this kind of lineup will not happen. I genuinely feel like they would be more happy to have Joshua Zirkzee in that kind of collaborative role in the front three rather than forcing a return of Marcus Rashford, which is sad because for me, it makes sense. Rashford is a very fluid frontline player in terms of the fact he can come off the left, come off the right, through the middle, runs in behind, etc. And with Mbeumo and Cunha, it could work. It could definitely work, but I just don't see it happening. I think Ineos have made up their minds on Marcus Rashford, which is unfortunate. Rashford ain't going to come back. Yeah, there you go. I'll probably be watching the semis and finally only CBA with football at the moment. I hear it. There's a lot of football to watch. Voltaren gel for that knee to ease some of the pain. I'm going to check that out. Because my knee is literally killing me right now. But we had a little bit of I don't want to say a bombshell, but less than 10 or so minutes ago, Florian Plettenberg mentioned that, let me bring it up on here. Florian Plettenberg posted that Manchester United want to sign Hugo Ekitike, regardless of Matheus Cunha, as they are still after a proper number 9. There's no agreements or decisions yet. However, club-to-club talks have begun between Manchester United and Frankfurt last week. Oh, let's start with what has led to this. Can I just say that this is probably a domino effect of the news that was broken yesterday regarding Victor Gyökeres. I genuinely think this is maybe being sped up because of the news that broke regarding Victor Gyökeres. So we did a stream yesterday here on the channel, guys. If you lot remember, we did one early in the day. And it was being reported in Portugal at the time that Victor Gyökeres' entourage has let Manchester United know that he does not want to join Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano did a video less than 10 minutes later saying that Manchester United are still around and they are still there. Now, I say this a lot, guys. A lot of journalists, I've realized in the transfer window, bar maybe, I think David Ornstein is probably the only one that doesn't do this. A lot of journalists plant stories to basically have every possible base covered. So as soon as this news came out of Portugal yesterday about Gyökeres, Fabrizio Romano came out saying, nope, Man United are still in there. They're still around. They're calling him every day, blah, 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 blah. It took less than 12 hours for then Fabrizio to turn around and say, oh, actually, Victor Gyökeres' priority is to join Arsenal and he doesn't want to join Manchester United. Now, just for some context, guys, just for some context, Fabrizio Romano and then multiple other journalists came out yesterday afternoon that Victor Gyökeres has made it clear that he would prefer a move to Arsenal over Manchester United. It was then reported about less than an hour later that Manchester United's hierarchy, not everyone within Manchester United's hierarchy, are completely convinced about signing Victor Gyökeres. And then earlier today, it came out from Portugal that Arsenal have frozen negotiations for Victor Gyökeres due to an inflated price tag. Sporting are asking for a minimum of 80 million euros. That's what, 70... I think that's like 71 million. I think that's about 71 million pounds. And Arsenal have now removed Gyökeres from their priority list. So in the space of 24 hours, guys, Gyökeres has told Manchester United, I don't want to play for you guys. I want to go to Arsenal. Arsenal have inquired about his price tag, have been notified about an 80 million euro price tag, and have decided that potentially they are going to walk away from that, which leaves Victor Gyökeres in a ridiculous situation. And I will be very honest. I will be very, very honest in my opinion. Manchester United should not go anywhere near him. Not because he's publicly rejected Manchester United. That is one of the reasons. But Omar Barada's entire interview that he did the other day was centered around the fact that they want to sign people that want to play for Manchester United. That's it. So if a player has already notified you that he does not want to play for you, you got to keep it stepping. The news of removal from Arsenal priority list is from a not so reputable source. It's the same source that reported yesterday that Gyökeres doesn't want to join Manchester United. What do we class as reputable? By the way, I agree. Record Portugal, they are a bit of a hit and miss, but there's a lot of journalists that are hit and miss. I remember they said Bruno was going to Spurs at one point. They've done some crazy pieces before, but even a broken clock is right twice a day, guys. And they broke the news yesterday morning about Gyökeres not wanting to join Manchester United and notifying Manchester United that he doesn't want to join. So I'm taking this with a pinch of salt. But it does sound like Victor Gyökeres, I think, has shot himself in the foot a lot. He's completely shot himself in the foot. In my opinion, Manchester United should not go for him at all. And if you've got money to spend on a striker, and this Hugo Ekitike talk, I don't know if that is that's Frankfurt's way of putting out hit pieces about Manchester United in the hopes that, you know, Liverpool or someone else might come sniffing around, because Ekitike has been linked to Chelsea. He's been linked to Liverpool as well. But also, can I say that if Man United have 80 million euros to spend on a striker, why are you going to go and spend it on a Gyökeres or a Ekitike? Go and spend it on Victor Osimhen. I feel like I sound like a broken record at this point because I'm saying the same thing over and over again. The thing is, if Gyökeres didn't have a preference for Arsenal, he should have been quick to say it's not true, and he's not decided anything yet. He hasn't, so he can F off. Duncan says Arsenal definitely still want him, but they are playing mind games. I mean, what's the price tag for Benjamin Sesko, guys? Because Arsenal have been linked to Benjamin Sesko as well. And I think Benjamin Sesko has a similar price tag. The price tag that Leipzig has is around 67 million pounds, which is around 80 million euros. He's got a similar price tag. And Sesko was wanted, I think, last summer, he was wanted by Arteta as well. Minna, please watch Ekitike's last 80 shots. It's a YouTube comp. He can't finish at all. Pythag did an analysis on him. Terrible finisher and too expensive. I love Pythagoras. Pythagoras is my GOAT. So I will definitely watch the analysis on EKITIKE. But I've watched Frankfurt this season as well. I watched them a lot up until Marmoush left, because I liked watching Marmoush. And that's why I said yesterday, when I was watching Marmoush and EKITIKE for Frankfurt, Marmoush for me was the standout guy. And I genuinely just think that Frankfurt might be trying to get, they realized that they got a big fee for Marmoush, so they're probably thinking I can get another big fee for EKITIKE. Let me see what else you guys are saying. I'd say get Calvert-Lewin. Baby Verge is the second person on a stream that has mentioned Calvert-Lewin. Guys, please, let's not do this. Please, let's not do this. And spend a large sum on a right winger, maybe Mandweke. Baby Verge, I think you're trolling us. Big up to Mahmoud, says, hello, Mina. Mahmoud from Nigeria. Big fan of yours. Big up to everyone from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, Mahmoud. I hope you're doing well. And thank you very much. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Ramo says, I don't want... Come on, guys. We're not going to do insults here. I don't want Gyökeres regardless. He's just a super saiyan Darwin Núñez. He'll end up at Galatasaray to replace Osimhen when Arsenal signs Sesko. I don't think he will end up at Galatasaray, because Galatasaray are currently linked to John Duran. Fenerbahce is as well, but Galatasaray is... no, astaghfirullah. I just lied to you guys. I just made it up. Galatasaray are convinced that they will be able to sign Victor Osimhen, which as a result, Napoli are obviously looking for strikers, and they are also linked to John Duran. So John Duran is linked to Napoli and he's linked to Fenerbahce, but he's linked to Napoli because the expectation is that potentially Victor Osimhen could go to Galatasaray. Big up to Ramadan. Ramadan, it's been a minute. I hope you're doing well. EKITIKE's price is high because that fee has to be shared with PSG. It's a clause on his contract. What is the clause in his contract? Here you go, EKITIKE PSG clause. So PSG have a 20% sell-on clause from anything that they make from EKITIKE. Frankfurt make from EKITIKE. So if they sell them for 100 million euros, then 20 million euros is going to PSG, and they're playing in the Club World Cup. These men are making money. They're making money, guys. Duran already tired of Saudi. It sounds like it. It sounds like he's already tired of that. So PSG are reportedly watching very closely to this. Jacob says, as someone who watched Bundesliga every weekend this season, EKITIKE is not worth 100 million. We were talking about this very briefly yesterday, guys, on the stream that I did for like 50,000 hours. I feel like clubs like Frankfurt, they are seller clubs, right? They are seller clubs. Let's look at like the fact that the money that they've made from transfers. Yeah. Let me just bring it up here. Frankfurt highest sales. The money that Frankfurt have made from transfers. They just look at their players like, again, these are is money. What's it called? That tweet you said about EKITIKE. I know, why did it go viral? It's just the most random. Is when I post good quality stuff, it does not go viral. But when I post something so random, it goes viral. I don't believe these reports anymore. There's a lot happening in the media. There's so much happening in the media. But if you've just joined, what we are discussing is Florian Plettenberg has said that Manchester United want to sign Hugo EKITIKE regardless of Matheus Cunha, as they are still looking for a proper striker. There are no agreements or decisions in place yet. However, club talks have begun between Manchester United and Frankfurt last week. Look at Frankfurt's selling history, guys. Look at Frankfurt's selling history. They are a feeder club. They're here to make money. The fact that this is actually mental, guys, because you can argue that 1, 2, 3, 4, the last 4 strikers that they have sold, the jury is out on Omar Marmoush. I think Omar Marmoush is a good player, depending on how Pep uses him next season. So we won't talk about Omar Marmoush. Big up to Saeed in the chat, says no links for midfielders is concerning. Don't worry, Sekou Kone is the future, man. Don't worry, midfielder hype. But look at this, guys. Kolo Muani to PSG, that was a failed transfer. Jovic to Real Madrid, failed transfer. Haller to West Ham. Haller is a good striker, but that particular transfer was nothing. So I'm skeptical about signing players off of a breakout season at Frankfurt or just at any team, actually, let's be honest. I'm always skeptical of signing a player who has had a breakout season in a different league, because I always say that if we're gonna spend big bucks on a player, you need to see it consistently. You need to see it consistently. So with in the regards of, you know, EKITIKE, statistically at Frankfurt, he's gone from 4 goals in the league and then the following season 13 goals, right? That's a good increase. It's an incremental increase for sure, but you need to see it, I think, across the like 3 or 4 seasons. I need to see so if you go from 4 to 13 to maybe like 20 to 25, I'll be like, okay, this guy is clearly improving season on season, and we should look at him being a potential. But you're looking at him right now, and I also think it's the financial opportunity from it, because I spoke about this very briefly yesterday as well. In terms of the overall package for EKITIKE, it's reported that it would cost United less in the entirety of the package, which is including, you know, salary, it's including the transfer fee, it's including, you know, agent fees, etc. It will cost them less to sign EKITIKE than it would be to sign Victor Gyökeres or to sign Victor Osimhen. But I don't think the financial freedom of signing a player should be solely the reason why you pursue him. But I also think, guys, personally, with Ineos, I think they are targeting strikers that maybe have some sort of sell-on value in the future. There's a reason why we were heavily linked to Liam Delap, who's a young striker. There's a reason why we've been now heavily linked to EKITIKE, who is a young striker who has sell-on potential. Do I think EKITIKE is a finished product? No, nowhere near that. Do I think United should pay 100 million? No, I don't think that. Do I think that Manchester United should go out and take a gamble on another potential in terms of a frontline player? No. If you're signing a complete kind of experienced player in Cunha and an experienced player in Mbeumo, striker is not an area I think you can sell yourself short and sign someone that is, you know, on a potential come up. I don't think that's the right thing to do. What sell-on value is there if we buy him for 80 to 100 million? Well, if he spends 3 years at Manchester United, hypothetically, right? Spends 3 years at Manchester United, has 2 good seasons with Manchester United. By the time he gets to entering his 4th season, he'll probably join with a 5+1 contract. So it'll be a 6-year contract. They will amortize the cost of his fee across that. His book value, or his net book value from an accounting perspective, a PSR perspective, will probably sit in and around 40 million. If United can sell him for 60 million, that will be a sell-on value, quotation mark. But this is all ifs. This is all ifs. There's a possibility he comes to United and he doesn't bang. There's a possibility he comes to United and we find ourselves in the same kind of roller coaster of having a striker that is not even bagging 10 goals in the league. That could possibly happen. Let me see what else you guys are saying in the chat. I think Manchester United should focus on getting Mbeumo over the line with Cunha. Any of them can play number 9. Plus, at worst, they'll definitely make Xerxes and Højlund better. I mean, they've already started soft launching the idea of having Højlund as a starting striker or Xerxes as a starting striker if we don't sign a striker. They've already kind of put that out there already. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. We've got nearly 200 people here. We ain't even hit 100 likes, guys. Let's try get to 100 likes at the least. Of course, we've got a lot to talk about over the next hour or so. If you're new here, please do subscribe. We're on the way to 16k. Hopefully we get there by the end of the transfer window. And like I said, we've got a lot of content coming throughout the week, watch alongs for the Club World Cup, etc. If you want to join the membership club, you can as well. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, emojis, you get custom member content, and of course you get to support the growth of the channel. If you want to support the channel in alternative ways, you can by sending in super chats with your comments, with your questions, with your thoughts, or just to show some love. It helps to support the channel here, improve the quality, the output, etc. of the content that I do. And also it helps reach the super chat goal for the day. I already said at the beginning of the stream right now, guys, I got a meniscus sprain. Yes, I got an injury in my knee and I'm sitting very uncomfortably right now because we do it for the love of the game. We're here, we're streaming. And as soon as I finish this stream, I'm going to pop some pills and lay down and ice my knee because I'm in a lot of pain. 13 in the Bundesliga equals 5 in the Prem. How did you get that conversion? Ridwan says them numbers aren't all in the Bundesliga, and it's just one good season. The Prem is different, different beast physically and mentally. Let's actually talk about the Prem very quickly. If I can find it, here you go. Let's talk about strikers in the Prem very, very quickly. Because Rasmus Højlund, reportedly, Inter Milan are accelerating a deal for Rasmus Højlund after he has accepted their proposal. This is coming from reports in Italy. And it's being reported that Inter are looking at a loan and an option to buy to get Rasmus Højlund in. Now, I don't know if you guys know, obviously it actually makes not much of a difference to their Club World Cup, but their striker already, Mehdi Taremi, he can't join them at the Club World Cup because of what's happening in the Middle East with Iran and whatnot, and he's stranded in Iran. He can't leave because the airspace has been closed. I'm not saying that this is linked to Rasmus Højlund, but we do know that Inter have been linked to Rasmus Højlund for at least the last month. At least for the last month, they have been linked to Rasmus Højlund. I do think it would be a good move for him. In terms of just getting football, getting away from Manchester United as well. That's the most important thing. Getting away from Manchester United would be a good opportunity, not because I think Manchester United is the problem, but I just think if you've come to Manchester United and you've been there for 2 seasons, entering your third season, and you're still struggling to, hit the ground running, it's best, I think, you take yourself out of the environment. He's already come out publicly in an interview and said he wants to stay. He's contracted till 2030, which he's not. He's contracted till 2028. I can't believe he said that he has a contract at United until 2030. How do you not even know your own contract? But he's not got a contract till 2030. He's got a contract till 2028. And also, he said that he wants to be the main striker. Now, it's also been said yesterday, by Rob Dawson at ESPN that Manchester United believe that Rasmus Højlund can become a prolific striker, the prolific striker that they brought in the first place with that potential, and they are considering having him stay as the starting striker next season or the rotational striker next season. I think it would be a failure on Ineos's part if Manchester United don't sign a striker. Firstly, if Rasmus Højlund stays, that's a different conversation. But if they do not sign a starting striker, I think it's a failure on Manchester United's part, because there's no way you've watched Manchester United 3 seasons in a row fail to hit the 60-goal mark in the Premier League, and you think, yeah, let's keep the strikers that we currently have and not add in any improvements. With saying that, I know Mbeumo potentially coming in could change that. I know Matheus Cunha potentially as well could change, the number of goals United score in the league, but I still don't think it's enough. And if Manchester United are serious, I actually think Rasmus Højlund has some sell-on ability. Like, I don't know if you guys all agree, but I think Manchester United could definitely get at least 30 million for him. At least. Someone said, isn't Inter going for Darwin Núñez? No, I think Darwin Núñez has been linked to Saudi. I can't remember what team it was in Saudi, but I think he's been linked to Saudi. Are Inter looking to sell Thuram? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Quickly, let's talk about this thing here, because I think this is holding us back a lot, guys. I think this moving so slow is holding back a lot of potential, news or movements. Now, Ben Jacob, who, by the way, we talk about reputable journalists, right? We talk about reputable journalists this summer. Ben Jacobs is redeeming himself a little bit, because I feel like last summer and the summer before that, he just used to say a lot and half of it would never be true. But Ben Jacobs has said on a Spurs podcast that there's been no formal bid for Bryan Mbeumo from Tottenham. So I don't know if you guys remember, a couple of days ago, Darren Lewis at the Mirror was reporting that there was a £70 million bid from Spurs for Bryan Mbeumo. Ben Jacobs has confirmed that there's actually been no bid, but there has been verbal contact between the two clubs. He has not directly rejected Spurs, but he has made it clear that he prefers to join Manchester United. And someone says here, Spurs signing Tel opens the door to finalize Mbeumo deal. I think that kind of, yeah. I think for me, when I saw that yesterday, that firstly, I don't even know why they chose to buy Tel. Young potential, 35 million is not a bad price tag. But I think that kind of pushes Manchester United in the lead to get the Mbeumo deal done. Now, the last sentence from Ben Jacobs is very important. It's where he said that he hasn't directly rejected Tottenham. He just made it clear that his preference is to join Manchester United. The only way I see him joining Manchester United, joining Spurs over Manchester United is that Manchester United and Brentford can't agree terms. That's the only thing I think that's holding this all back. This situation right now. I'm hoping today we get the here we go from David Ornstein that says that Manchester United have agreed terms with Brentford to sign Mbeumo. I'm hoping it happens today or tomorrow, because the only way I see Mbeumo not joining Manchester United is if Brentford and United can't agree terms. And it was reported that Brentford want at least 55 million guaranteed 55 million. So they're probably looking for, I think, 65 million, which is probably 55 plus 10 with add-ons. And it's also been reported that Omar Barada, the Manchester United CEO, does not, they have a price point for every transfer. And if the clubs can't agree up to that price point, Manchester United reportedly are happy to walk away from transfers if they feel like the club is valuing the player a lot more than what they anticipate the player is worth. And if it's true that Spurs are looking around for 70 million rather than 65, because we're hearing 65, we're hearing 70. If it's 65, but that's the overall package, I think Manchester United will be happy to pay that. I think Man United will be happy to pay that. But if it's 70 for a package, I don't know. I feel like that 5 million might make a difference. I feel like that 5 million make a difference. He's just looking at all his options. His preference is United, but he's curious to see what he's worth. I don't think it's more about what he's worth. I think it's more about the fact that who's more likely to offer him or pay what the club thinks he's worth. Because the other teams he was linked to, Newcastle and Arsenal and Spurs. I never saw where he fitted in for Arsenal personally. I never knew where he kind of fitted in with that. And Mbeumo is not a priority compared to 9 and goalkeeper, in my opinion. Do you guys agree with that? Do you guys agree whether is signing Mbeumo a priority? I said this time and time again. I said if United fail to sign Mbeumo, they have to go all out for Victor Osimhen. If they can't see a world that they're happy to pay what Brentford want, then you have to go all out to sign Victor Osimhen. If there is a possibility that United don't sign Mbeumo and they sign some mediocre striker, or they pay the big bag to sign EKITIKE instead, I will be furious. I will be so mad. I think number 9 is important, but also, guys, a part of me actually thinks if United sign Mbeumo, they could get away with not signing a striker if they sign a world beater midfielder, because I actually think no one's really paying attention to midfield that much in terms of what is happening with our midfield. We've got Bruno Fernandes next season, probably playing in that central role. I don't know where Ugate's future is at Manchester United. I think he's going to be a squad player. Casemiro, we don't know where his future is. Kobe has reported that he's, going to agree to terms for a new contract. But I still think United miss and don't have a controller in the middle. They don't have that. Bruno Fernandes is never going to be that. Bruno Fernandes is not a quotation mark controller of a midfielder. He's not someone that dictates the game from the middle. He's someone that can progress the ball forward, but he's not someone that dictates the game in the deeper parts of United's half. And I'm saying being that link between the back line and the front line. I think Bruno Fernandes is a great player, don't get me wrong, but United need, I think, pure P&P in that midfield. Pure pace and power, strength. That's what they need in the midfield. And if United go and drop the bag on Mbeumo and they say, you know what, Brentford, we will spend that 70 million, cool, then they have to, in my opinion, decide. It's kind of a coin toss between striker and midfield. And I have a feeling they will lean more towards signing a striker than they would signing a midfielder, because in terms of midfield, you see, United have who do we have in midfield? We have Bruno, Ugarte, Casemiro, Kobe, Collier, if he's not sold. They'll probably, if Sekou Kone, that's a name I see flying around, but I don't think that they're gonna use him as a rotational option in midfield. Let me see what you guys are saying. Striker definitely, because we lacked so many goals. Forget striker, drop the bag on Wharton then. What is this hill that everyone dies on about Wharton? I think, by the way, Wharton is a good midfielder, but I don't think he's an 80 million pound midfielder. Sometimes I genuinely think, guys, I don't know what I see that everybody else sees. I feel like I gaslight myself a lot and think, am I not seeing what everyone else thinks? Because I don't think Wharton is an 80 million pound midfielder. And that is reportedly the price tag that Palace have him at. He's probably the next big transfer for them, because I don't know how likely Eze is to leave Crystal Palace. I don't think you go and drop the price, the bag, on a player like Wharton, in my opinion. If I had 80 million to spend on a midfielder, I'm going to buy Baleba from Brighton. I'm not buying Wharton. Let me see what else you guys are saying. What's the release clause on Baleba? I don't think Baleba has a release clause. Does he? No, it's not. It doesn't say if he has a release clause. But this is what I'm saying, guys. Man United, Baleba was brought from Lille, right? Brighton brought Baleba from Lille. United need to go to France, guys. United need to go to France. And let's stop buying from the middleman in terms of midfielders, and let's go straight to the source. Let's go straight to where people are. I say this all the time. In terms of midfielders and physicality, the French league is the closest to, I think, the Premier League for midfielders, right? So if you want to sign a midfielder, rather than waiting for people like Brighton and Fulham and whatnot to buy players, let's go to France and buy players directly from there. Let's buy the midfielders directly from there. Lamine Camara, for example. You lot, I know you're sick of me mentioning him, but Lamine Camara at Monaco, Ayoub Bouadi from Lille, another good young player. He's still 17, but he's still young. But if Man United are serious about, wanting a midfielder like Baleba, I beg you, go and buy Lamine Camara. He might cost you, I think Monaco will sell for maybe 40, 50, maybe. But again, he's a good midfielder and it works. Yeah, we did it with Lenny. We have proof it works. Honestly, I think it's a risk worth taking. I think, when it comes to the midfielders that Manchester United are linked to, I don't think you necessarily have to go and buy, from directly a Premier League team that's, ready to sell the player that they've, raised, for example. Monaco is the Brighton of France. They want 80 million. I doubt they want 80 million for Lamine Camara. Let me see. I doubt it. Because even though like Fofana was reportedly, Lamine Camara's price tag is around 50 million. Reportedly, but we don't think that's likely. Yeah, 53 million is the pounds. 53 million pounds is the price tag reportedly that Monaco have set, which is 65 million euros. I would pay that. Honestly speaking, guys, without a doubt, I will pay that. Let's talk about this guy here. Let's talk about Garnacho. Because Fabrizio Romano said something interesting. We already know that his priority is to stay in the Prem. And also, guys, am I the only person that thinks there's a lot of quiet news on outgoings? Like, it's very quiet on the outgoings. In my opinion. Garnacho wants to leave. That's Fabrizio has obviously confirmed that. But his priority is to stay in the Premier League as he wants to try something different. Reportedly, the Europa League final was the end of the story where for Garnacho, because Ruben Amorim was furious with him. I mean, why wouldn't he be? But I feel like the outgoings is going very slow. Garnacho is going Chelsea on a cheap if he wants to stay in the Prem. I don't think he'll go on a cheap. I think Man United, between Garnacho and Rashford, I think Man United are more happy to accept a lower transfer fee for Rashford than maybe they would be for Garnacho. Garnacho wages, he's not on a lot, but it sounds like he's asking for a lot, which are reportedly Bayer Leverkusen were ready to pay the transfer fee or the transfer valuation for him. However, it's the wage demands that made them walk away from it. And this was reported yesterday. I think it was the Muppeteers that was reporting this, that said Bayer Leverkusen they had the money. Obviously, they got the money. We know that. But they have the money to pay for Garnacho's transfer valuation. However, they don't want to break their wage structure. And what he's asking for would break their wage structure. And in terms of their wage structure, guys, I think it's only one person that earns more than 100k at Bayer Leverkusen. Everyone else earns less than that. So I don't know what he's possibly asking for. But I can imagine, I can see a world potentially where no one wants to pay 70 million for Garnacho, and Manchester United are happy to just keep him for another season. I can see that happening. I can see that. And you know what? Man United shouldn't be surprised if people are not willing to pay 70 million pounds for him, because everything has unfolded in the public eye. And this happens so many times with Man United players that you wonder why Man United can't sell anyone, because you're having domestics in the public eye. You got, the Marcus Rashford situation, I'm playing in public, where Man United are briefing about wanting to sell him because of his bad attitude and this and that. And then Marcus Rashford publicly saying, maybe I want a new challenge. The Jadon Sancho situation unfolding in public eye. Again, people are not going to, you put a 40, 50 million price tag on him. No one's going to want to pay that, because everyone knows that you want them out. Garnacho, another example, playing out in the public eye. Like, the way that I see it, United wanted to sell him to Napoli in January, but his wage demands were too high for them. It wasn't his wage demands, reportedly. It was reported that he asked Manchester United not to sell him to Napoli because he wanted to go to a Premier League team. And Manchester United can't force a player out, it seems. And so they basically didn't agree terms with Napoli, but Napoli were ready to buy him. They had the money for Kvaratskhelia. They were ready to drop the bag on him. Now, in an ideal world for me, Garnacho leaves to Napoli for 60 million. Victor Osimhen comes back the other way for 60 million. From a PSR perspective, that nets off. Perfect. That's what United are struggling with. Perfect. That is for me in an ideal world. But you guys all know we do not live in an ideal world. And it's very unlikely for that to happen. But it would be perfect for me. Garnacho wants 200k weekly. No way. No way anyone's going to pay Garnacho 200k weekly. We made it public, so it's harder to sell these guys. Yep, they're shooting themselves in the foot with it. Amorim hates him. No way he stays, especially after what Amorim said. If Garnacho stays, it's a bad look for Amorim. That's true. That's definitely true. Let me see what else you guys are saying. United is not selling for less than 60 million. They will rather loan him. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think they would rather loan him. I think that they would definitely not. They definitely rather sell Garnacho, because he's really the only sellable asset that Manchester United have right now. Let's be honest. If you're talking from a PSR perspective, 100% profit. He's on low wages. He is the only person that is a tangible asset that United can actually demand 50, 60 million for, and people might actually pay it. If you demand 50 million for Marcus Rashford, everyone's going to laugh in your face. If you demand 50 million for Jadon Sancho, everyone's going to laugh in your face. If you demand 50 million for Casemiro or Onana, everyone's going to laugh in your face. But Garnacho, for me, is the only person right now that is on the chopping block that is already, you know, listed as potentially being sold this summer, that can genuinely be sold for the price that maybe Man United are asking for. Big up to Joe, says, we should not gamble on a number 9 with the squad we have. Give me Mateta, Cunha, and Mbeumo in the front line. 3 proven Premier League players, and we can still get a midfielder or another goalkeeper. I do think that, again, we just keep talking about Mbeumo, and I have to keep saying if United get it done. But if United do get Mbeumo done, I think they won't get a striker in maybe until they get Garnacho or Rashford or like someone has to leave before Man United can bring in that striker. But it also depends on whether Mateta signs that new contract with Crystal Palace, which I think will be maybe that will give Crystal Palace the opportunity to sell him next summer instead. If Garnacho doesn't go this summer, then Kobe's going. I think it's been reported that he's not going anywhere. Mainoo can be sold too, but we aren't ready for that talk. Let's have that conversation, guys. Let's have that conversation about Kobe Mainoo. Do you guys think Kobe Mainoo should be sold? This is a conversation that always intrigues me. I always love having this conversation between Garnacho and Mainoo. Do you guys think both should be sold or one should be sold? The only thing that I worry about with Mainoo, I say this all the time, is that I just don't know how Amorim makes use of him. Not that he's not a usable asset, but it's just the fact that you're playing with a midfield too, where the player, where the player in question, like Mainoo, you got nowhere to fit him in. And I've said this about Kobe Mainoo. Call me biased, but I said I said that, you know, a player like Kobe Mainoo, you shouldn't be shoehorning him into your midfield. You should be building your midfield system around him. And that doesn't make me biased, but I just think that the fact that United in the last decade, if we talk about the academy players that United have developed, that have come through the academy system at a young age to the senior team, it's Rashford, it's Greenwood, it's McTominay, it's Mainoo. That's it. That is it. And here, selling both is a terrible look for the club that will kill our academy pool. I think selling Mainoo is worse for this reason than Garnacho, because yes, Garnacho is labeled as a academy kid. He spent 1 year in the academy. He spent 1 year in the academy. He spent more time in Atletico Madrid's academy than he did Man United's academy. So yes, he's classed as a academy kid, a Carrington kid, but I'm talking about progression within the academy from the young ages all the way through the academy system. There's not many players that have come at Manchester United in the last decade and has thrived like you know, Rashford and Scott McTominay in particular. Those two thrived. But Mainoo, for me, is a player you should be building your midfield about. Your midfield should be built around Mainoo. That picture of Garnacho, Rasmus, and Mainoo is what did the picture do to you? The question should also be, how does a player like him make use of himself? It's time to place accountability on the players as well. 2 seasons in, and he's been injured often. He has to work. He's only really been injured this season. It's only really this season, right, that Mainoo has been injured. The season before that, he came back from an injury that he sustained in the preseason. But he was consistently available. Once he came back from that injury, he was consistently available all the way up until the next season. You know, he went to the Euros. He scored a goal for United in the FA Cup final. I think people forget. I think people forget what Kobe did. People are rewriting history about. Honestly, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. We're just quick to turn on our young players sometimes, which is interesting. Let me see what you guys are saying. The thing is that he doesn't suit the double pivot. Kobe is one of the most intelligent players I have seen. He has the capability to adapt. So do you guys think that United, because I'm very skeptical of selling a lot of players with the prospect of Amorim not being here a long time. Like, I'm very skeptical of it, because you're telling me you sell all your wingers and you sell your midfielders that can play in a trio or whatever. You sell all of them, bring in new players for a specific style, etc., and then there's a prospect that the manager doesn't even stay. So you're going to be back at square one again. You're going to be back at square one again. So what happens then? Do you go back and buy those particular type of profiles that you sold? And in particular, when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about people like, I think Garnacho's time at United is coming to an end. I think Rashford's time at United is coming to an end. But look at the fact that United are selling all their wide players, and the only actually wide player that they have right now, if they sell Sancho, Garnacho, Rashford, the only other wide player that they actually have is Ahmad. So hypothetically speaking, if Amorim doesn't survive the season, or he does survive the season and then he doesn't get an extension and he leaves after his final year, are we back at square one again? In a market where good wingers are very difficult to come by, and they ain't cheap. You got Semenyo with a 70 million price tag. Mainoo's lack of pace is what's keeping him down. Also, he's shown from times not to be in the game at all. Very strange change from Mainoo last year. I agree. I feel like a bit has changed with Mainoo. Generally speaking, this season, I feel like I'm watching a Mainoo that I don't recognize, and maybe it's because I'm basing Kobbie Mainoo off of what we saw in his first season. But definitely this season, I can say that since Amorim has arrived, it's a Kobbie Mainoo that I don't recognize. But equally, we're saying that I feel like we could say that about a lot of the players. Quickly, just in the chat, Mainoo, sell or keep? What are you guys saying about Mainoo? Are we selling or are we keeping him? I think he will stay, but also, can I just say, I think if he does stay, he's going to definitely have to get a lot of reassurances from Man United that he's an integral part of the starting 11, because you got the World Cup next year. I don't think Mainoo's going to want to be riding the bench and sitting on the bench. Coming on in a cup final for 2 minutes. That's sad. That's sad. What's going on with Mount? You lot took Chelsea's best player. I thought gave him the number 7 and everything. I don't know what's going on with Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount needs to go as well. Like, yeah, Mason Mount has to go. We're going into his third season now. We're going into his third season now at Manchester United. I did hear some stuff about Mainoo, though. I heard he was linked, not Mainoo, sorry, Mason Mount. I heard Mason Mount was linked to a loan last summer, and I think Spurs wanted him and Villa wanted him. But it's because of his fitness problem, and obviously he was out injured. He couldn't go. So I don't know. Maybe Mount might leave in the summer. Mainoo was like that even before Amorim got here. He made so many mistakes in that Spurs game at Old Trafford. Loan 1 year and give Amorim 1 year to see if his system works. If Amorim's system works, then sell Mainoo. So you're saying it's either system or player, basically. We are forgetting he's very young and still physically growing. He should be a bench player. He's young. A lot of you guys are saying keep in the chat, which I think that's definitely the general consensus about keeping Kobbie Mainoo. Mount going in third season when he was injured for 2. You know what? The Mason Mount thing for me is privilege. It's privilege. I don't know how people have fully convinced themselves that Mason Mount is and he can be an integral part to Ruben Amorim's system. Mason Mount has shown Manchester United nothing. He's shown Man United nothing in the 2 seasons that he's been here. So the fact that people fully believe that, he can be an integral part for Manchester United and Ruben Amorim, I don't know how people tell themselves that. At least if he has given you 20% of a reason to believe that he can be beneficial, I would understand that. But for me, the fact that he's done nothing. He's got 1 little goal in the Europa League this season. He's got 1 little goal that I remember against Brentford the season before that. But I haven't seen anything personally for me worth backing. He is a squad player. You know what? I could agree with him being a squad player if Man United weren't stupid to pay 60 million for him and give him 200k plus in wages. Like the fact that they tripled or near enough to tripled his salary and did Chelsea a favor financially by giving him that much. I don't think I wouldn't be mad at him being a squad player if that wasn't the circumstances. And also the fact that, you know, we could have waited one more year and got him on a free. But I'm not mad at Mason Mount being a squad player. Personally, I wouldn't be mad about it. I wouldn't be mad about it because I think there's better midfielders in the world that you can get that would be better suited for the team and for the system. I also feel bad for him sometimes, but I feel bad for a lot of footballers that experience what Mason Mount is experiencing. And that's in terms of injury. Like me, I'm injured right now, guys. And I had to pull out of football today. Like I had football today and I said I can't come. And I felt like I was letting my team down. And that's a little kickabout in a nine-a-side pitch. That's a little kickabout in a nine-a-side pitch. So imagine me as a professional footballer. I would feel bad if I was injured all the time. And I think we forget sometimes, guys, that footballers are just human at the end of the day. They make a shit ton of money, but they are human like the rest of us. And in terms of, you know, your body physically letting you down, I can imagine how much of a struggle that is mentally to deal with. And, you know, footballers are human and we need to remember that. We have to remember that. I feel like Mount to United was worse than Kai to Arsenal. Both scrubs I was happy to get rid of. I feel like United got the worst end of the stick out of that. Out of these two transfers. I think Kai is scapegoated a lot at Arsenal, but I don't think he's nearly been as underwhelming as Mason Mount has been. I don't know. I don't know if you guys agree with me. But that's why I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I feel like they have definitely got more. Fabrizio Romano has literally just posted. I refreshed my Twitter just in the right time. Fabrizio Romano has said Alejandro Garnacho's priority is to stay in the Premier League while he's set to leave Man United this summer. Despite Bayer Leverkusen's interest and Ten Hag's appreciation, the deal looks too complicated, and the player's first choice is the Premier League is the player's first choice. I feel like Fabrizio Romano, he says a lot, but he says nothing at the same time. Do you guys feel like that about Fabrizio sometimes? I feel like Fabrizio says a lot, but he says nothing at the same damn time. Like this particularly. This is what
Arsenal in this summer transfer window, and today the message coming from those close to Manchester United
this is about
is that
Gyökeres.
they
Yeah, this is what he's saying about Gyökeres.
And then, guys, strikers. We have to mention strikers. We have to enter into strikers because this morning I was telling you how Victor Gyökeres remains an option for Arsenal in this summer transfer window, and today the message coming from those close to Manchester United is that they feel, despite calling on daily basis, despite maintaining all the contacts active for Victor Gyökeres, they feel that the player is giving priority to Arsenal. Arsenal project, Champions League football, so Victor Gyökeres is giving priority to Arsenal. My understanding is that Gyökeres didn't say, no, I'm not coming to Man United. So Victor Gyökeres or his agents didn't inform Man United about rejecting the club. Just giving priority to Arsenal as long as the Arsenal option is available on the table. So what happens?
Like the guy says a lot, but he says nothing at the same time. I know that bag that he makes from Twitter, from all his tweets, he does. I don't know. He just regurgitates a lot. But shout out to him in it, because if it wasn't Fabrizio, guys, if it wasn't for him, I would have nothing to talk about. There's no difference to what Fabrizio does and what I do. We talk about the same thing every single day on stream for like a week straight. So there's really no difference. There's really no difference. So basically, if Arsenal don't want him, he wants United. That's the consensus. That is the general consensus that I'm getting. That's what I've interpreted. I don't know if you guys have interpreted that, but what I have interpreted from what Fabrizio has said is that he hasn't. Okay, so he's saying that he hasn't said no to Man United, but he's given priority to Arsenal. Doesn't that mean that he said no to Man United then? It's like me saying, guys, I want to eat today. I'm giving priority to Wingstop, but I haven't said no to pizza. I have said no to pizza because I'm giving priority to Wingstop. That's the logic that is the logic that I'm trying to use. So to me, that I interpret that as he said no to Manchester United, or he's maybe told them, stay there. I'm gonna go chat to Arsenal. If Arsenal don't want me, I will come back for you. Manchester United better not if I will be so mad, honestly, I'll be so mad because Omar Barada has sat there in an interview saying, if people don't want to come to Manchester United to play for Manchester United, we will not go for them. Okay, so this guy has said now his priority is Arsenal, not Man United. That is enough for you to say, okay, cool, we're gonna go on to the next transfer move. And then now it's being reported that Arsenal potentially might not actually go for him, because I think the feeling, it sounds like, is that Sporting might be pricing him out of a move. I know that they will definitely want to sell him. 100% they will want to sell him. But it does seem like who do you guys think is less likely to budge? Do you I think Sporting will not budge. I think Sporting will not budge on their price tag. That's not true. You have a lot to talk about. You need to stop following the financial sports trends. You know this game inside out. I'm in the US. I'm not a Man United fan. I love how you break the game. I appreciate it, but unfortunately, we have to speak about the financial implications of football. It doesn't go hand in hand, but I do believe that the financial implications in football has a domino effect on a lot of things. For example, it's very difficult for us to sit here and speak about potential transfers without talking about whether a club can afford it or not, because otherwise we're just being delusional. In that case, I would have sit here and say Man United should sign Lamine Yamal, and Man United should sign Pedri, and they should sign Vitinha, etc., etc. We have to speak about the financial implication. I agree that the whole salary thing, I always say that we shouldn't pocket watch, and I fully agree with that. But that also has implications on a transfer, because a club not going for a certain player because of their salary demands is something that we have to talk about. We have to talk about it. So yeah, I understand that the whole idea of talking about money, but money goes hand in hand. Look at the Club World Cup right now. A lot of teams are playing in it not because they want to be in it, because of money. They want the 125 million that comes from winning the competition. Football is about, it's become evidently a lot about money. Minot, his agent is also the agent of De Jong. He's not just the agent of De Jong. He's the agent of quite a few players. He's the agent of quite a few players. How many new signings will we have by our first preseason game on July 19th? That's about, what, a month away? Man United's first preseason game is a month away. I say maybe 2, 3 at best. 3 at best, I would say, maybe. But I think a part of me believes we will get Mbeumo done. I'm trying to stay confident, but you lot know it's because I don't want that video to resurface from United View. So I will say Mbeumo gets done, and then one more signing. But also, when I'm talking about signings in the transfer window, can we be clear that I'm talking about starters, like game changers for Manchester United? I'm not talking about, because last season I remember United had multiple incomings, but some of them included Sekou Kone and Chido Obi Martin and Samuel Lassar, and people are talking about them as if they counted towards the transfer window. In my opinion, they don't, because you're signing for the academy, you're not signing for the first team. So I'm talking about players who are first team signings. I've seen that we are already linked to like another academy kid, I think it's from Southampton or something. So for me, that wouldn't count as part of the transfer window, because you're signing for the academy. So in terms of first team transfers, I will say 3. 3 transfers would be a surprise. Morgan says 5. OJ says 4. Sorrell says 1. So you believe it's just Cunha. 4. I think we'll sign Mbeumo by July 19. That's it. You think by July, as in, I think we might get some news on Mbeumo this week. I think by this week we will know fully where United stand in terms of whether they're going to sign him, or whether they're going to pay that transfer valuation for him, or if they've got alternative. My only worry with the Mbeumo thing, let me bring up Mbeumo here on the screen. My only worry with Brian Mbeumo at Manchester United, my only concern is that there is we haven't really seen alternative links, right? We haven't really seen alternative players that Manchester United That I haven't seen no one. Like United are not linked to anyone else, which is why I fully believe it's definitely Mbeumo. The alternative link is Semenyo. No way. No way. If United went from Mbeumo to Semenyo, I would be very disappointed. I would be very, very disappointed. Harvey says, I think Mbeumo ends up at Spurs. Please don't say that, Harvey. United will sign Mbeumo. I think they will. I think, and that is why I think the striker thing has not moved rapidly. Like a lot of the things that we've seen about EKITIKE or about Gyökeres, etc., a lot of that we've seen has just been Man United are interested in him or interested in this player. There's no been direct talks beginning, whereas Man United formally opened talks with Brentford, submitted a first bid. I think Mbeumo is definitely the priority to get it done. What about Madueke? He's really good. Kings is a Chelsea fan and is just trying to offload Chelsea's players to us. Semenyo is pretty good. I think Semenyo is pretty good. I just don't think he's Mbeumo level. I don't think he's Mbeumo level. Calvert-Lewin or Jamie Vardy, Mina. Guys, what would you do if we ended up signing Jamie Vardy? If we ended up with Jamie Vardy like on a 1-year deal, what are we saying? Would you guys be against it? Because Jamie Vardy still scored more goals than our strikers last season. Right? He still scored more goals. Not that I'm necessarily saying that should be solely a reason. But I we can't do that. Mbeumo to Mbeumo to Semenyo is still a good level. I think it's a slight drop off, but I think it's still. But also, guys, can I just say, Semenyo has reportedly a £70 million price tag. If that is true, and you're gonna spend that on Semenyo, why can't you just spend that on Mbeumo? Rooney won't be coming to the matches. Yeah, if we signed them, yeah, they won't be coming. They won't be for a fact. Anyone with above 10 IQ up front will be good. This is how traumatized we are that we're saying anyone with an IQ above 10 will be good up front for Manchester United. We've been linked with Semenyo, Kluivert, Luiz, so we've been linked with other midfielders, but you never know what United plan anymore. They're still good at keeping secrets. Still, I don't think United were ever good at keeping secrets. Derek says we should all be working up to the reality that we are not going to get a striker this summer. Semenyo plays where Cunha plays, so no, that's true. EKITIKE doesn't sound like a player Amorim would like. How do we know what Amorim would like? How would we know what Amorim likes? This is being reported, by the way, from Spanish media that Real Betis are growing optimistic that they can secure Antony again this summer. After meeting with Manchester United, both parties acknowledged that it may take a few weeks to finalize. So it does seem like Man United actually might get an outgoing. And you know what? Antony deserves it. We can say all we want about Antony in terms of what he's done in a Man United shirt, but the guy has played his socks off on loan to prove a point. And you know what? He might actually be our first outgoing. And if Betis genuinely want to pay 35-40 million, go for it. Just no loan spell, please. They have to buy him for me. It can't be another loan. It can't be. They have to buy him. Excuse me, but it does sound like some things are moving with Antony. So maybe he could be the first outgoing for Manchester United. Make sure you guys hit the like button. How many likes are we on? We're not that far off from 200 likes. So make sure you guys hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. What do we have coming over the next couple of days? I'm in a lot of pain, guys. I'm really in a lot of pain. So I can't do a watch along tonight for PSG versus Atletico in the Club World Cup. However, Daily Dose of Minna will be back tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll have 3 streams in a row. We'll have Daily Dose of Minna from 4 to 5. From 5 to 7:30, we'll have a watch along Manchester City versus Wadad, which is a Egyptian team, I think, if I'm not wrong. So we will have a watch along for that. And then straight after that watch along, we'll have another watch along, which will be Real Madrid versus Al Hilal. So we'll have 3 streams in a row on Wednesday. So make sure you guys come through. Of course, we will have daily videos here dropping on the channel as well as obviously transfer stream, daily dose of Mina, etc. I watched Al Ahly versus Miami. Al Ahly can't shoot, but they held their own against Miami. I feel like people are just counting a lot of the African teams out, but I don't think you should count them out. And Inter Miami, can I say, is pants. Like, they are actually crap. I've never watched Inter Miami. I think I've watched them once in my life, but I didn't know they were that bad when I was watching that. What's your predictions on today's match? I don't know, because I don't know how likely, like, are they both going to play the strong 11? If they're both going to play strong 11, I think it'll be a good game. I think maybe it might be like 3-1 PSG, maybe 3-2. But if they both play strong teams. But yeah, let me see if anyone's live. Is there anybody live that I can redirect to? Nobody's live. So is this like a, guys, is this like a prime time to stream? Because 2 days in a row I've streamed on a weekday around this time and nobody's live. Nobody is live. So I can't redirect. How do you redirect? I do it on my system here. It just says redirect and I pick someone to redirect to that I'm subscribed to. So yeah, there's no one to redirect to, unfortunately. Sorry about that, guys. Carry on the stream. I really can't. I need to take some painkillers because I'm in a lot of pain right now, guys. I mentioned it at the beginning of the stream, but I think I've injured myself running. So I decided to take up running and now I've injured myself. But I actually injured myself last week playing football. And then it was a minor injury. I thought is no big deal. I was limping home. I thought it wasn't nothing serious. And then the next couple of days I was running. So I was doing 5K, whatever, 4K runs, 3K runs. And then even on my rest days, I was still walking 5K. And I think it was on Thursday I went for a run, but I didn't run on a trail. I ran in like a basketball court. I was just doing like laps around because I'm doing couch to 5K. And basically I think it's maybe the impact of like the concrete, the way that I was running. I think that messed me up because now I'm literally like limping. It's not an ACL injury. It's not an ACL injury. But if it continues to get worse, because I am in a lot of pain right now, I was icing it all of this morning. And I'm going to take some painkillers right now. So if I continue to feel worse, like yesterday it was so bad I couldn't drive. So if it continues to get worse, I'm just going to take myself to the hospital. But you know what? I got a lot of friends and family who are doctors. So I might actually tell them, like, I messaged my friend who's a doctor, but she's a pediatrician. And she said to me, "You're not a child, bro. I don't know what your problem is. If you have a kid that has a problem, maybe I can help, but I can't help you." So now I'm going to call my cousin who's a doctor and I'm going to be like, "Can you come to my house and assess me, please? Because I'm in a lot of pain." And if my doctor cousin can't assess me, then I'm just going to go to the hospital. But I hate hospitals, guys. You lot are taking the piss, minimum. Are you lot? Guys, this is my first injury in about 13 years since I twisted my ankle with playing basketball. Like, this is Mainoo. You lot are taking the piss. Don't call me Gaby Selassie. Don't do that. You lot are taking the piss. Mina doing the second. I was walking yesterday and my cousin said to me, "Why are you bopping?" I was like, I'm literally like, I'm struggling to walk. I'm literally struggling to walk. But you know what, guys? This is how you know it's love, because I still came and I sat here and I streamed, despite the fact that I'm sitting very, very uncomfortably. You need to start small and build up tolerance for those movements. Running, jogging has high impact on the body. You know, that was my mistake. I thought I could just like go in all guns blazing. It's been like 3 weeks now. So it took me 3 weeks to get an injury. But I think I've just overexerted my body and specifically my knees. Like, I think I just, yeah. So I need to take it easy. But like I said, no watch along tonight for PSG versus Atletico. But we will be live. If there is any news today about Brian Mbeumo or anything else, if we get any kind of breaking news, you guys know, inshallah, God willing, I will be live. Age catches up. You know what? It just reminded me that I'm not as young as I think I am. But listen, guys, I hope you have a great Sunday. Big up to everyone that's been around. We hit 200 likes. So big up to all of you lot. Much love. And we also hit 15,300 subs, or we just passed it. So we're about 700 away from 16k. The road to 20k is well and truly on. I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday. Like I said, if there's any news, I'll be live. If not, I'll catch you lot all tomorrow. I'm out, guys. Have a great one. Peace.